I'm Katja Williams, the Rural Mum, and today's video is my 5 top tips on how to survive a rural agricultural show with kids. Today's video will be filmed over a couple of days, so let's get to it. And today we are heading to the Sydney Royal Easter Show. We have a team of 10 cattle up there being showed by Macquarie Anglican Grammar School. So we're all very excited to be hitting the road this morning. So we've got my husband Ned, we've got our kids in the back, we've got Caroline, Elizabeth, Eddie and Mac. You say hi everybody.
Hi. And
we'll just see where today takes us.
Hopefully a birdie beetle show bag.
Hopefully a birdie beetle show bag. Let us know which is your favourite show bag in the comments below. So tip number 1, guidelines and expectations. Make sure that you're having a discussion with the whole family, including your kids, on what the guidelines are for the show and their expectations to make sure that you're all on the same page. During this conversation, make sure that it's respectful communication. It involves everybody and everybody gets a say. And this could include the outlining of, it's a 2-day show. On day 1, we will be doing this. On day 2, we will be doing this. What is it that you would like to achieve? And how can we work that into our plan as a family? The reason this step is so important is that this is where, as a mum, you will draw your strength from, and you'll be able to refer back to this conversation with your kids, which will give you resilience and strength for while you're at the show, whether it's a 1-day show, 2-day show, 3-day show. Have these conversations. Would you like to go on this ride? Would you like to see these animals? And so on and so forth. Tip number 2, select the correct mode of transport for you and your family. For myself, I've got 3 kids. My youngest is 6 weeks and my other boys are 2 and 3. For me, what this means is a 4x4 pram and a baby carrier. So baby Caroline Elizabeth gets strapped to my chest and my boys get in the stroller. I'll insert some footage here of how we did the Sydney Royal Show. We have arrived at the show. We've got baby in the carrier on front. We've got Ned pushing the double pram. Tip number 3 is hold off, and it can be separated into a couple of different components. Holding off. If you have said to the kids on day 2 of the show, we will go on the rides, make sure that on day 2 of the show, that is when you're doing the rides. Anything else that you need to hold off on, use our strength from tip number 1 and hold fast and also have prepped for it. So if you need to be at the cattle section because you're prepping the animals or you're watching the judging, make sure in your Mary Poppins bag of treats or your go bag that you've brought from the farm and adapted it to the show, that you've got those nappies, those spare pairs of clothes, you've got 2-3 times the amount of food you think you're going to need, and the same for water. So if you bring all those items plus some toys and some books, you're going to be able to hold off longer on doing the food, the rides, and also any of the other bits and pieces that we've spoken about during your conversation in step 1.
Is
that right?
I hate the double.
Nearly time to move out. And you know, that's why we moved out of the island. I hated being inside about 15-20 years. What was the final score?
We are back here at the Royal Easter Show for day 2. Yesterday we spent a majority of the day at the cattle section for the shorthorn judging and being with our cattle. Today we'll head and have a bit more of a go at the rides and checking out the other pavilions and groups. Eddie, what do you want to do the show today?
I want to bust the trucks and the Ferris wheel.
Monster trucks? Yep, monster trucks, Ferris wheel, and what was the last one? Surfboards. Mackie, what do you want to do today at the show?
Watermelon?
Excavator? You want to go find the excavator in the construction site next door? Yeah. Okay. Daddy, what do you want to do today?
Probably a coffee would be good.
Coffee. Let's go find coffee and then we'll attack the day from there. Number 4. How are you going to approach the rides? Make sure that you have a rough plan and idea of where things are, whether that's researching a map, asking a volunteer when you get there, or looking at the itinerary and formulating the path that you're going to take or you need to take to make sure that you're covering everybody's rides, everybody's performances, as well as what you would like to do during the day. Which goes back to rule number 1 of what you're going to do so that you can have that strength. If there's poor behavior or if there is consistent nagging or if something doesn't go right, everybody still knows the expectation and we pull them back to it. This was the expectation. This is what we discussed. Have your strength from here. This is how we're going to do things today. And that is how we're going to handle and attack the rides and the food and everything else that goes on show day. Tip number 5 is one of my most important tips, or what I find to be most useful, which is why I've left it to the end of the video. So if you're here with me, thank you very much, and this will help hopefully you as much as it helps for me. And this tip is creating a safe zone. So that is a safe zone for yourself and your children, particularly if your children get overstimulated at shows or events. This zone could look like at a country show where you can park close to an exhibit or to the show itself. So we usually park in or around the cattle section. So having the car set up that if someone gets overstimulated, if there's poor behavior, if you as mama needs to take a rest where everybody is safe, everybody's in one place, then your car can be this zone. Whether that has an extra DVD player, a book, toys, anything like that, where you can go back and just take 10-20 minutes, because that 10-20 minutes can make a big difference in how the rest of the day is going to play out at the show. Everybody can relax, everyone can decompress. If someone needs to have a nap, say the youngest 2 need to have a nap, they're able to do this possibly in the car, whether you're driving around and you've left the show and you come back, or whether you're in that car, they don't have the excessive stimulation of noise and sound and lights and excitement going on around them. Sometimes that's all they need to drop off to sleep. If everybody is getting hot, so we all know that show day can get quite hot, so if you need to come back to the car with the aircon and cool everyone down so that everyone is much happier, and feel those tummies, have that extra bottle of water and see where it goes from there. Safe zones are great. Even if you are somewhere like the Royal Sydney Easter Show, they have rooms like this. I'll insert a picture here of parents' rooms. So in these parents' rooms, they've got breastfeeding spaces, changing pads, and a couch area. And usually they're not overfilled, usually they're not stimulating, such as the ones at the Royal Easter Show. So even if you do need to escape somewhere for just a moment and you can't get back to your car, you can access these rooms. Even at a rural show, if they don't have a room set up specifically for that, they usually have an area where you can go to, whether it's under a tree and you face the pram away from the show, whether it's into another paddock or even if it's just facing the back of a shed and we're using our towel and ourself to calm and soothe our kids.
That brings us to the end of day 2 for the Sydney Royal Easter Show. I hope you have enjoyed all of our tips and tricks along the way, and whether you are going to a country agricultural show or whether you're hitting up the big smokes for one of the capital cities such as the Sydney Royal Easter Show, I hope these tips and tricks help you along the way.
If you enjoy watching and listening content for rural mums, anything about the shows, farm life, please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in more videos.